Hi, welcome to my new series for advanced students in which I'm going to teach you how to reach a higher level of competence in English on your own. This means improving your 4 skills: reading, listening, writing and speaking. But I'm especially going to focus on speaking in this series. This is Susan Broder from Speak Languages and Travel the World, here to help you improve your English with minimum effort and maximum benefit. So, what kind of advanced learning routine can you learn to improve all your English language skills? The problem with reaching a higher level of English language skills is we tend to practice what we enjoy, and that's actually very, very important. However, if you want to take your English up to the next level, you do need to challenge yourself. So, what's one of the first things you can do? For example, reading. So, maybe you enjoy reading a certain kind of book, let's say Agatha Christie. Well, if you always read the same kind of book, obviously you're not challenging yourself because you've got used to the vocabulary, the expressions, the language. So you should try changing genre. Try reading something that you still enjoy, that's really, really important, but maybe of a different genre, so that you can actually challenge yourself to learn new idioms, new phrasal verbs, new vocabulary, because that genre requires new language. At the same time, you should, of course, make a note of everything that you're learning, but also try and change the style of reading. For example, you could also listen to an audiobook first before reading it, and then pick up the same book and read it after you've listened to it. So first you're challenging your listening skills and then your reading skills, and the two put together will help you notice the different language. And as I said, you must make a note of any particular language you think is interesting for yourself, and that'll make it easier. You should then take these particular expressions you've learned and incorporate them into your daily life so that you can make them your own, not just leave them there as a piece of vocabulary. Try and learn them in chunks, in context, and then create other sentences which are more pertinent to your own life, and use those to practice these expressions in other sentences. Another way of practicing your reading skills is with speed reading. There are many ways of practicing speed reading, but maybe one of the easiest is to take a cue prompter. The easiest way is to take something off the web, an article you're particularly interested in, or a transcript of a book if you can find it, and type the URL or part of text into a teleprompter. QPrompter.com is an example of a free teleprompter you can use, and you can read it regulating the speed to practice your fluency as well as your reading at the same time. That's really, really important too. So these are some ways of changing your reading habits to improve your English and bring it to a more advanced level. The next very important skill to practice after reading is, of course, listening. Listening is the first skill that anyone learns. When you're a baby, when you're born, what do? First of all, you listen. It's really, really important to practice your listening skills, because listening will fine-tune your ear to different accents, to different ways of contracting the language, and this is what a baby learns too. He will listen to a language and then repeat the sounds he hears. Even if he doesn't understand them, he'll just experiment with his mouth. And this is something which is very important. Of course, at an advanced level, the importance of listening is connected to also accents. You can have the same language, but pronounced by different people in different accents. It'll sound really, really different and may be rather challenging. It would be very useful for you to listen to the news, for example, from different countries: Great Britain, Ireland, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, the USA, all these accents are different and are all native accents. Then, of course, there are also accents from other countries. India, they have a very particular accent because they also speak another language in the country. So it's very important to listen to these accents and fine-tune your ear to be able to distinguish the same words with different accents. It's also possible to watch, for example, TED Talks, in which you can check out the different origins of the people who are speaking, and that way choose to listen to different accents and fine-tune your ear. ELLO, ELLO, will give you the opportunity to listen to very short excerpts from people speaking natural English. You can choose the different nationalities because short conversations are marked with the flag of the country of origin, and sometimes you also have foreigners speaking, but it's very interesting to listen to the different accents in these natural conversations. It's the easiest way for you to choose a short conversation. Look at the different flags on the right-hand side, choose the accent you want to listen to the short conversation, and observe how they speak, in particular the accent, because that makes a difference to how they pronounce words. For example, in Scotland, they'll pronounce the R much more than we do in England. A good way to test your listening skills is to transcribe a short paragraph of what you're listening to if you then have the transcription to compare it to. That way you can see if you've caught all the nuances of what you've been listening to. So transcriptions can be useful to test yourself with. Writing. Now you may be good at writing, but can you write in all different registers? It's very different to write an email to a friend of yours, to write a business letter, to write to your grandmother. All these registers are different: casual, formal, very professional. And of course, you may not need to write all these kind of different registers, but it's a good opportunity occasionally to practice writing even in the way you would not normally need for your daily life, because you never know. You may find yourself in a situation where you do have to write something. So occasionally writing notes, letters or emails in a different register can be a way of improving your English, bringing it up to a more advanced level. Then if you want to be able to check the level of your written English, all you have to do is open a free account with Cambridge Write and Improve, and you will get free feedback on your written language, which is an excellent way of being motivated to write, because you can see your level of English immediately when you press the check button. Challenge yourself by using new grammar structures and new vocabulary. Maybe you've been reading something which you found particularly interesting. You take these grammar structures that you observe, you take the chunks of language that you observe, and you challenge yourself to incorporate those into your writing. If you start using the language that you've learned from reading, it'll be that much easier once you've used it a few times to make it part of your own language, and therefore use it when you really need it in life. Speaking. Now, speaking seems to be the hardest skill for most of my students, and yet it's the most fundamental one, because speaking means communication. And if you want to improve your speaking at an advanced level, you have to communicate more naturally, just the way native speakers do. And how do native speakers communicate? They use a lot of idioms, a lot of phrasal verbs, and I know you've probably been learning quite a few along the way, but if you want to make your level of English more advanced, you definitely need to take note of idioms and phrasal verbs. Challenging yourself to learn about 4 or 5 a day, write them down, and practice them as much as possible in your daily life. If you learn 4 or 5 idioms a day, then you'll have about 25 idioms in a week. But that seems to be a lot. It is actually. However, if you manage to practice using them day by day, incorporating them into your daily life, they'll become second nature. And that's the most important thing, that then you can just bring them up like that when you really need them in new situations. So you must learn these idioms, even if they're not 4 or 5 a day, but practice them regularly so that they just come off the tip of your tongue when you need them. Now, even if your English is really, really good, pronunciation seems to be something which can be difficult. So I recommend occasionally mimicking to improve your pronunciation. Take anything you can see that you're interested in. It could be a TV series, it could be a film or a podcast or a TED Talk. Take something that you really like the accent of, the way they speak, and choose a sentence, 2 sentences, and try and mimic them. Now, if you want to be able to have very colloquial English, of course, it's better to mimic a dialogue. So whatever you choose, take a short piece and try and mimic it. Listen carefully, close your eyes, and try and pronounce it as best you can, identically to the person who's speaking. And it's a very good idea to record yourself, not on long pieces, on very, very short pieces, a sentence, 2 sentences. Listen to it, try and mimic it, and then subsequently record it. Listen to the original, listen to your recording until you fine-tune your pronunciation to be as similar as possible to the original. And finally, of course, the best would be to speak to a native speaker occasionally. If you don't have a native speaker to speak to, there are many online possibilities, which of course are paid. But I also recommend speaking a lot to yourself with these new expressions that you've learned until you manage to be able to speak to a native speaker whilst you're traveling or in any opportunity that may arise. These are just a few tips to improve your English at an advanced level, but this series is going to focus more in detail on the different possibilities so that you can bring your English to a higher level. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of when new videos come out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!